Do the hit and run tactic, which is you post and you never stick around to have a conversation with people, giving them no reason why they should comment. You say empty platitudes, and you take a very safe position on everything. You're not going to be different. And then everything is always perfect in your shiny, happy world, okay? I remember this ad from the mid-90s, from Dr. Martens. I recreated it. It says the mainstream is polluted. What you want to do is you want it to be different. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, well, how different? Like 1,000% different? No. And I just want to look at this concept from James Clear in Atomic Habits, 1% different. Let's see what that looks like when we take it to the 365th power, okay? So we do a little math. Most of you guys here are very good at math. I'm a designer, so I had to use this just to make sure. If we just add 0 to 1, we know that's 1. If we add 1% to 1, that would be 1.01. You guys get it. If we subtract 1. And if you look at this as a mathematical equation, it's fascinating how these numbers turn out, right? So if you take 1.01 to 365th power, you get 37.8. Of course, 1 to the 365th power is just 1. Here's where it gets really interesting. 0.99, just 1% different, 365, is 0.03. So if you do a little bit less, you know how Neil was talking about 80%? We're just talking about 1% less. So if you do 99.9%, that's where you'll be in a year. So let's look at a case study here. The late Virgil Abloh, who I'm a big fan of, he's got an interesting resume and pedigree. In a very short amount of time, when he first launched his company, Pyrex Vision, in 2012, in 6 years, he became the first African American to be the creative director or design director for Louis Vuitton. Brilliant man, gone too soon. And he was named for Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in 2018. He famously has this thing called the 3% rule, where he says, don't try to change everything, change something by 3%. We talked about changing by 1%, what happens? What happens if you change it by 3%? Some of you may know this, but he doesn't know how to sew, he has no manufacturing capability, he's a classically trained architect, so when he wanted to launch his clothing company, he didn't look at this as a hindrance, he looked at this as an opportunity. So what he would do is buy Polo Ralph Lauren dead stock for $40. They made too many flannels, they couldn't sell them, he buys them for $40. Then he just took a graphic and printed on it with his brand and the number 23 because he's a fan of Jordan, and he sells this thing for $550. He didn't change anything, he added something to it, and that's all that needed to do to elevate it. And then the rest is history, right? And if you own any piece of Off-White clothing, which is Virgil's brand, if you've ever noticed this thing on the label, it says Off-White, care of Virgil Abloh. When I didn't know what that meant, I just thought that was a cool typographic thing he was doing. He loves type. But then when you dig a little bit deeper and you understand like his thinking, it's actually really brilliant. And it's a very subversive form of marketing. So back when he had no manufacturing capability, he could not design or cut or have anything manufactured, he would buy blanks from other companies, and then he would subversively design it as if they made it for him. Brilliant man. So he'd do Off-White in care of Champion, Off-White in care of Polo, or whatever he would do, until he had the capacity to make it himself. And that's where the idea of the label comes from. Off-White in care of Virgil Abloh, the first time he actually manufactures his own clothing.